Hey, good day. We're back again with another episode of Startup Stories. Today we're here with Ijsbrand from STIL. Tell me what it is, what STIL does, and what do you do at STIL?
Yeah, so my name is Ijsbrand de Lange. I am the founder of STIL. And at STIL we are developing an anti-tremor brace.
Mm-hmm.
May sound a bit weird, but what we're basically doing is suppressing the vibrations that occur for patients with Parkinson's disease or with essential tremor, but even with multiple sclerosis or dystonia.
Mm-hmm.
So there's loads of disorders that actually result in you having shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
And those shaking hands, you can already imagine what it will do.
Yeah.
The most difficulties with eating, with drinking, with writing. Yeah, it's really tough for tremor patients to basically have a good quality of life in this way.
How is it like a brace across your whole arm, or only like a?
Right now, that's still a bit under the loop for the reason that we are currently applying for our second patent on this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's also why I cannot really go into detail about it. But what I can tell you is that it's a lightweight brace that can be easily hidden within the sleeve, so it doesn't also really obstrude that much in daily life.
Okay.
Also quite important to know, because shaking hands, it's functional limiting. You want to drink something and you spill stuff. That's annoying.
Yeah.
But imagine doing that on a terrace, for instance, or in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying, but it's also shaming, right?
Yeah.
So that also adds sort of a social barrier or social boundary on top of the functional barrier you already have. And that's what we also heard from a lot of patients, like, okay, it needs to be functional, but definitely also taking into account the social aspect of it.
Oh.
So that's why putting it within the sleeve is a very nice compromise for them.
As a researcher, did you have that in mind when you started the project?
No, not at all.
I can imagine.
No. So maybe we can then go back a few steps.
Mm-hmm.
This entire journey started in, I believe, 2014 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a video of the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Yeah. Michael J. Fox is a very famous American actor from Back to the Future. Maybe you know it.
I think I know it actually. I have a little bit.
They were very popular movies in the 90s. I'm not sure if you were watching TV then, but no. But he got Parkinson's when he was 29.
Okay.
So really young. And being a famous actor, he wanted to really put his effort and soul and energy and money into a foundation to raise awareness for Parkinson and actually find a cure for it. And I saw this video of in 2014 of him featuring famous actors, famous celebrities, and for instance an NBA player with Parkinson's and having shaking hands. And it was in my bachelor's when that happened. So I saw the video. I was basically a bachelor student, mechanical engineering at Delft here.
Oh, cool.
And a very mechanical guy. So I did like the human, but still a very mechanical guy. Did like making machines.
Bikes.
Well, I actually, funny that you say that, because I actually one time when I was younger I made a bike that steered with its back wheel.
No way.
Yeah, it was not a success. I can tell you that.
Oh, wow.
It's actually really difficult to steer with your back wheel. But,
so
I did indeed build a bike. Two of them actually, now that I think of it. But coming back, I was still really fascinated by technology, but also to improve quality of human lives. Yeah, basically that intersection was really interesting for me. Also, why I did a minor in biomedical engineering.
Okay, so there it started.
Going back to the story, I saw this shaking hands, and I was maybe that's also my advantage. I was looking at this very mechanical as well. So I saw the shaking hands not as a physiological symptom of a disease, but more as a mechanical disturbance. So I looked at it like, oh, this is basically a mechanical disturbance, like you have a vibration in your car or a vibration in a washing machine, but then it is not a machine, but it's the human. And then the question popped into my mind: if we can solve it for very complex systems, complex machinery, like I don't know. Some examples right now nowadays we have like very complex dampers to make sure that the cars drive very smoothly over roads. All this vibration suppression is out there. Why not for the human? And that got me wondering.
So do you see the human body as a machine?
I saw the human body as a machine, and that actually changed when we started doing it as a startup.
Mm-hmm.
But before, I basically saw it as a very highly complex machine that has some mechanical issues.
Okay. That's quite funny, actually.
Yeah, it's a strange analogy, but you're right. Yeah, that's what I saw, and that inspired me back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still doing my bachelor's, so I didn't really have the time nor the energy to really go after this. But it kept bothering me. Like, okay, this is a huge issue right now, and it can be solved properly mechanically.
Mm-hmm.
Can it? I don't know yet. It sort of slipped away for a while. I founded another company then in 2014 as well.
Okay.
From basically offering laser cutting and laser engraving service to students.
Yeah.
So we saw big lines in the architecture student lab over there. Yeah. And every time there were like these moments, every quarter there were like big lines with waiting times for 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
So we ordered a Chinese laser engraver from China. Yeah, it was quite an adventure as well.
That was a really mechanical part.
There was a really mechanical part, true. Yeah, so there was no human involved in that. No. But it was an adventure on itself. It came in here broken. We had to fix everything. So luckily we could. Me and my companion back then, we could. And then that was taking up all my time. So I was doing, of course, the bachelor's.
Yeah.
And then the company. And then, it kept on. Yeah, lingering in my head.
Yeah, the tremors.
Like the tremors, and that's also one of the reasons I guess I chose for doing the master biomechanical engineering.
Okay.
So really the intersection between the mechanical part and the human.
Yeah, but you found that in your bachelor.
Yeah, it was biomedical. It's a slight difference. In biomedical, you can also go into corners. I don't want to go into details, but you can also go into X-ray machines and stuff.
Okay, well.
And this was more like mechanical parts which you can put on your body and helps the body and those kind of things. And how does the body actually move? Like the kinematics of how you actually walk. Quite fascinating as well. So that's also something we learned.
So it's also a little bit of biomotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So before we go further into the story about how you got here, every edition of Startup Stories we celebrate success, and I want to ask you, what do we have to celebrate today?
Yeah, well, there's a big thing to celebrate, which is after almost 4 years of hard work, we have finally launched, at least partly launched, our anti-tremor brace, the STIL anti-tremor brace, on national television.
On national.
Yeah, and we've been working towards this moment for a very long time, and I'm very pleased to see that the results were outstanding. We got a lot of feedback from it and a lot of traction, and proud to see what we have accomplished with the team in the past years.
And how was it shown on national television?
It was shown on RTL Boulevard
in
the evening, on Sunday evening. So again, also prime time. Maybe not the show you normally associate with high tech or with startups, but they had a Parks and Awareness weekend. So that's why we fit in perfectly together with the Hersenstichting actually.
All right. So feel free to open the bottle if you like, and we can use the.
Sure.
Celebrate the success we're having today. So national television, that's quite the big step for a startup.
Yeah, my grandma also thinks so. Yeah. She called me like 3 times after the show.
Oh yeah.
She was watching with her neighbors, and she also knows somebody with Parkinson's, and so proud of you, and how many people, blah blah blah. I was very, very cute.
Were you nervous?
It was not live, the show.
Okay.
It was not live.
How did you watch your own show?
Nervously.
Yeah,
that was nervously. Yeah. I was watching with a friend, Corona Proof, of course. Yeah. And together with my son, little son, I have a little son. Yeah. And it was really, really amazing to see to see it actually on live television. And then when it was broadcast, then afterwards, like loads of reactions. Yeah. People calling and WhatsApping. It feels like a big achievement for what we have, all the effort we have put in the past years. Because it actually is a tremendous amount of effort.
I can imagine. It's the startup life.
see where here's the line.
Yeah.
Okay, where should it go?
Yeah.
Over there?
Shoot away. Camera crew.
Een deel.
Ja. Hoppa.
Oh.
Leuk. Nice.
Oh.
Well, thank you.
You want to also celebrate my success?
I will also celebrate your success. Yeah, thank you. Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me.
Still. Yeah. So, back to the story about how you got there. It all went, you started your own laser cutting company.
Yeah.
Which is also a really big entrepreneurial step in the first place.
Yeah.
To start your own company on your bachelor's, in your bachelor's, right?
Yeah, bachelor's, yeah.
So, how did you got like friends together and you were saying like, let's do it?
Well, we had some doubts, of course. Because the machines are quite expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a student, your bank account is not like really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to buy big 1 kilo lasagnas just to make it through the day.
Yeah.
At the Aldi. You probably know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's mostly a budget thing, And but I had a friend of mine, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
He amazing guy, and we worked together at the workshop at the TU Delft at 3ME.
Yeah.
And we already were giving instructions on how to laser cut, how to turn, how to machine stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually also one of the things I was also doing as a student assistant.
Okay.
And we saw this machine, we knew how it worked, so we knew the ins and outs already. That was an advantage. And we had a lot of course, we were living both in a student house.
Okay.
So we heard
together
a lot of,
also?
No, we were actually neighbors. Also.
Oh,
we were neighbors. Yeah, we were neighbors. But we heard a lot from students like, shit, it's such big waiting lines, and there's another company in Delft which is also offering the service, but it's super expensive, and nobody wants to go there. And then we're like, okay, well, we know the machine, but we like to do it, and we know how to handle this.
Yeah.
And there's a big, I'd say a big gap in the market, but at least a gap in the market in Delft. Yeah. Let's try to offer a solution.
Because of the hands-on experience, you obviously got like the validation from your market because you got all these students asking for these waiting lines and these prices.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. That's what we heard back then, and of course this was very, very basic validation. Looking back right now, what I did back then as validation was too little, but it turned out great. So it was good investment. We actually imported a machine from China. Yeah. Got here and broken, like I said. It was terrible, nightmare. But in the end it worked, and in the first month we really scrambled to get the parts. We had the first assignment, and then with the money from the assignment we bought our first stacks of wood materials. So we could use that again for the next assignments. So it's like the money we earned, we went back to the company, and we didn't see a penny in the first year, though we worked very, very hard.
Yeah, and that's classic startup life.
But maybe it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And but in the end, it turned out great. And then we did it as we had a company together as a side job next to our studies. So instead of working for somebody, we had a company next to each other.
So it is combine. No, you can combine it with your study.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you recommend it?
Not in your final year.
No.
When you do your thesis, it's
I can imagine.
I would not recommend it.
So, but it's not called. It is called. I don't think it's the same company as STIL.
No, it's not. It's called Luxigo. I can tell you.
Luxigo.
Okay. Yeah. Offering still offering quality laser engraving.
It's still going.
Laser engraving, laser cutting service for students.
So when did you step out?
In 2018.
Yeah. Okay.
So I, together with my companion back then, Dan, we were a very good team, but I was about to go on a new journey. With STIL, and though I initially tried to make it work together, I just couldn't. Mm-hmm. It was too difficult to combine both companies. Yeah. And so in the end, I sold my part to my co-founder back then, and he is still. I'm very proud to say he's still kicking ass for the company. Yeah. Yeah, it's growing every year, and it's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it was actually my first child. I would call it my first child. It's also very hard to abandon it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But It was. I had to put all my effort into this new adventure.
Mm-hmm. So, but how did the new adventure start?
Yeah, well, initially it started, of course, with the video of the Michael J. Fox Foundation that I saw, and that was the initiator of this all, and then it kept on lingering in my head, right? And I said, well, I was about to go on graduation. I was looking at the assignments. I was like, nah, assignments are a bit meh. And then I thought, well, why not do my own assignments? Also something which is not per se recommended because it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But I went to a lot of professors asking them who wants to help me, who wants to help me. A lot of them were, of course, are too busy. The general answer you will get.
Classic.
We're too busy and we have assignments already and it's already too much, which I can relate to, of course. They have their own agenda. And you don't want all these entrepreneurial students to knock on your door and say, I want my own assignments.
I got this idea.
I have a great idea. And but luckily one of them, Wilfried Brugge, of the neuromechanics lab, biomechanical department, he said yes to my graduation proposal at least, and then we started this trajectory together. And I had the idea, of the anti-tremor brace back then. So at least I had a concept in my head. Okay, this might potentially work. And then we started this entire trajectory together. He helped me tremendously throughout the project because, there's one thing to do a student business, or back then it was still a student business. It's an entire other thing to actually do a proper research. It asks for a lot of more dedication and structure. That's why doing this, it was almost impossible to combine with the business as well.
Okay.
But in the end, I started the thesis. And I got to the point where we got some good results. And then comes really a turning point in his thesis. Turning point. It didn't work as I expected, even after the good results, because I was waiting for the great results. And I remember sitting there in the lab till late in the evening, like, okay, I desperately want a glass ball right now to look what is going to happen next week, because I really don't know what to do right now. And I remember that moment very vividly. It was really, I was struggling so much. And then 2 days later it was solved, but just by some pure sense of luck actually, because somebody walked across and I spoke to him and he said, maybe this and then it was solved. It's sometimes these things happen, and
a blessing.
Call it luck, call it a blessing, I don't know. But when those moments occur, really grasp the moments,
Yeah. Wow.
And then we had good results, and then my thesis supervisor said, okay, I think you're going into a very, very nice direction. And I'm still very happy that he actually pushed me, because then he proposed, why not write a subsidy proposal already? But you have to imagine I was doing my thesis.
Yeah, that's quite...
I was doing my thesis hardcore, basically, in the end phase as well, so going towards writing the thesis itself. Still had to do a lot of tests. I was also a little bit time still working on the company as well. I was still doing that by then. And then he said, okay, why not write a subsidy proposal? And that actually quite also fell in line with what I had envisioned. Because I wanted to proceed with this thesis after my thesis.
Okay, but did you want to find a company out of it?
Yeah. There was also the intention when I started the thesis. I said, okay, this is my idea. I want to have it recorded. This is my idea. And after this thesis, I want to have the option to make it my company.
Okay. So it was always the intention to do so.
Yeah. So before I actually started the thesis, I made this record or this document together with the TU Delft to make sure that every
IP problem or
call it more general. Every interest was aligned.
Okay.
Yeah. And then. So I was really at a high intensity moment, I was peaking, I had long hours, long days, and tough to combine. And then he said, well, why not go for a subsidy proposal? And I was about to say no. I was like, I cannot handle this anymore.
Yeah, it's just too much.
It was too much. And but luckily I said yes, and luckily he proposed it, because that was actually the catalyst to basically
drive your company
starting the company.
Yeah, too.
It was the actual seed that actually started the company.
Because I guess you got it granted.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wrote the proposal together with my supervisor.
Okay.
So he actually helped me as well.
Oh wow.
Cool. I got some delay in my thesis, but it was okay. So I was writing it and then doing my thesis, and then in the end, I graduated. With a 9.5. So I was very happy with that.
Okay, that's quite high.
Yeah, and then I was already quite ecstatic about that. And then 2 months later, we heard news that this subsidy proposal was also granted. And this is basically a subsidy proposal for basically thesis projects or PhD projects who want to try and see if there's a fit for it on the market.
Oh,
it's also
cool.
called the Takeoff feasibility study.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that was actually what really made STIL what it is today. Because that gave us the room to really start and explore and see if there was a big question in the market.
Yeah.
And ask for it in the market.
And I heard we.
Yeah.
So the co-founder.
Well,
how did you find?
It didn't start as a we. It started as an I.
Yeah.
So I wrote the thesis. I wrote the proposal. I got the grant. I founded the company as well. But in the meantime, I immediately asked a very good friend of mine who was about to graduate, do you want to join the company as a graduate student? So my friend, a good friend of mine, very smart guy, he joined the company from day one as a graduate student. So he was doing his graduation at my company with the promise that after his graduation he will become co-founder. That's how it actually started.
And he did become co-founder?
Yeah. Okay. So we started together right in September after my thesis, and immediately diving into the problem validation. So the validation, because I think this is a big technological issue sometimes with myself and also with other students, I guess, especially with people like me who are really technical.
Yeah, product.
Yeah, it's more like this is an amazing product. It works. Everybody wants this, right? Yeah. Not really. No. So I was really. I followed this program here on Delft together with EIT Health. So it was an international validation program. The EIT Health Launch Lab it was called. So I did it together with my co-founder, and then quite difficult because we couldn't speak about our technology in the first month or something. So all our that's really.
Didn't really write an NDA or something, or
no, they did just. The coaches said you cannot speak about your technology. You can only ask questions.
Okay.
So that's why we had to go to patients, to neurologists, and only ask what is your problem. Without giving the promise, because then you're already biasing their answers. It was very difficult for me, and because I want to say, wow, we have this anti-tremor brace, it's gonna change your life and make it better and give you stable hands.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a very good idea. To only talk about the issues and the problems.
So during the whole EIT lab, you couldn't talk about your
during the first
concept.
It was 8 weeks, and during the first 5 weeks, we couldn't talk about a concept.
Okay.
Only asking questions.
Interesting.
And it was amazing to do so. It was really good.
But didn't like the I'd say customers, or I don't know, the people you've spoken to, didn't like they asked you, why do you ask this?
No, we said we are
research.
We are researching the ways. We are researching for a possible solution for this. But first, we really need to know if there's a need for it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's actually a very good question. Is there a need for something you are developing?
Would you recommend, or like a young starting entrepreneur who don't join the EIT Health Lab or either another lab to keep their own solution like that, like to themselves, like secret? Because
I think it's a personal choice. Sorry.
Because some investors say like you should totally tell us the concept of the ID, because otherwise we won't keep the ID in mind. We won't remember
that's a different stakeholder, I believe.
Yeah, that's
so. An investor is, especially in this early phase. So that's why I'm so grateful still that I got this grant, because I think a lot of good ideas basically strand or diminish after you graduate. Because there's simply, you have to think about the future as well. There's only so many months you can live without having any income.
Yeah.
And also attract more people, because you also need to have initially. Well, the company you want to build is with preferably with a co-founder who's in it like you are, and with a lot of interns, basically. That's how you basically start the start. Maybe I'm not giving away the secret sauce of it, but for that you need money. So you can go around and ask friends, fools, and families.
Yeah. So how did you approach, like, because it was a good friend of you, right? Like your first co-founder, and you were like, were you initially paying him, or you were like, okay, we're going full volunteer mode, both?
Yeah, initial months it was like that. Yeah, and then at some point, so we basically had the money to do this validation study, but we didn't pay ourselves. We used a lot of money on validation and on something on product development as well. Yeah, very basic stuff. And then at some point we got the next grant, and then I started at least giving myself a salary. Okay. Well, not a great salary, but it was a salary, and he was still, of course, doing graduate student. So I gave him a graduate remuneration, basically. Yeah. Okay. But it also this money basically allowed us to hire 4 or 5 students, and though of course
that picks up.
Yeah, and I would be honest with you about it. Our students, our internship fee was not great as well. So of course you should not go to a startup for the money. No. That's never a good idea. If you do that, then you should better go for a corporate. Yeah, I'm truly convinced about that. But it helps. I think if you offer no internship fee, then a lot of people will say, but I can also work at Shell and get 600 euros a month. It needs to be
for the experience.
Yeah, right? It needs to be the experience, but also some reward. Some reward, and that's what we could offer them with some money. Yeah, and going back to your original question, it's not very hard to not talk about technology for investors. Well, investors are at a later stage. So this initial phase, you have to rely on, hopefully, on some subsidies, or maybe on some VCs too.
Not yet.
No, okay. VCs way too late. Okay, it's later than that. So it will be subsidies and friends and family and fools. That's what we normally say.
Oh, some Kickstarter.
Some Kickstarter money. Some people who believe in your cause and say, well, here you have some money, you can go around. With that money, you don't pay yourself, but you can hire students, for instance, or you can pay some basic materials. And then afterwards, then investors come. Yeah. So okay. So the investors will definitely need to know about your product, but the other stakeholders, like the doctors in my case, or the patients, from them you only need to know the basic thing. What is your problem? Yeah. What is really bothering you? And then you can make a logical deduction. Is my technology going to help them? Or not? Or not. Yeah.
You can fill them in like that.
Yeah, and you have to be very strict on yourself. And we also had some. Of course, we learned about the mom test. You might have heard about it. Yeah, sure. It was very, very useful as well. We had some very good questions, and then we saw, okay, well, one big assumption we had is not true. Okay. How do we go about it then? Yeah, how do we fix that? Yeah. But it was a big eye opener for us to not talk about our technology, ask the questions about what is actually the problem, and then make your own deduction or see if your problem or your technology is actually solving that.
Yeah. Okay. So I can imagine the whole idea of having a product is gone, like in your head, because you can't say it. Yeah. That's really cool. So about STIL, can you? Now you got like this big success you celebrated. What's the next big plans coming up? How do you see yourself in 5 years? How do you see STIL in 5 years? Maybe? Yeah. Still going?
Still going strong. The next big step. So right now we just launched teased our product on RTL Boulevard on national television. We got some great results after a lot of years of hard work. And next step for us is to start and execute the clinical study, which is going to be executed by the René de Graaf Hospital in Delft. Okay. Wow. And then they're going to include several patients, and then the brace will be tested. And then with good results, fingers crossed, of course, will give us the ability to actually launch product on the market. Because for a medical device, you need to have clinical evidence first before you can actually sell it. Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, that's the whole bottleneck for a lot of medtech startups, I'd imagine.
It's I think the bottleneck, but it's also it makes sense as well, because you don't want to have I don't know, somebody selling a sword strapped to the arm and that fixes tremors, you know.
Yeah.
So there needs to be some medical proof for it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I hope it has a medical proof.
Yeah. So and that's that we aim to hit the market as soon as possible, and then in the end, in a few years from now, work towards reimbursement, so that the brace is actually reimbursed.
Wow.
And that's going to be the biggest hurdle. Yeah. But once you're there, then we can really make this product accessible for everybody.
Then you're through the valley.
Yeah, then you're through the valley. Then you're going up again.
So in those valleys, you need people to support you.
Yeah.
And I can guess that a lot of students who will be watching this podcast might want to jump in or help you in this STIL technology, startup. Do you have any positions for students to join in on STIL?
Well, I would say in general we're always looking for talent. It happened more than once that somebody just applied, and I was thinking, oh yeah, that's actually quite an interesting skill they have, and we actually created something for them. It happened more than once actually, and I'm way more keen on somebody reaching out to me and saying, well, this is what I can do. Let's see if we can maybe work together on this.
Yeah.
But really take the initiative instead of me putting a general job application online. Cool. And then people can respond to that. But we have some stuff online, so we need some. Of course, we need some engineers for the coming term.
Yeah.
From September, we need somebody who really wants to tackle the marketing for us. And but then I definitely encourage people listening or watching that they actually, if they really like the startup and they want to help millions worldwide suffering from tremors, well, then simply shout out to us. Yeah, don't hesitate. Do it
for sure. I think they will be eager to meet you and meet STIL on that part.
Yeah, I don't know, but let's hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Ijsbrand, for this amazing story about STIL.
Okay.
But also your own founder story, which I think is very cool for students to listen to. So thank you everybody for listening, and hope to see you in 2 weeks again with the Startup Stories podcast.